Alright guys, what's up? Welcome back. Game number 3 between Happy and Socke. We are tied up right now at 1-1. Last game was quite a doozy. I also want to apologize for getting you these games 2 and 3 a little bit late. I had issues uploading the first version of game number 2, so I had to re-render and re-upload. And since the game itself was almost an hour long, it was quite an upload process basically. So it took me a little bit of time. My upload speed isn't the highest, but anyways, that's about enough of that. Here we are on game number 3, so definitely looking forward to this. This time we are on Zelnaga, and again, we are tied up 1-1 in this best of 3 series between these two players. So this will be the deciding game. We'll see who ends up prevailing in this matchup. And yeah, there you go. So StarCraft commentary. How fun, how exciting is this? Zelnaga Caverns, quite an interesting map. It's actually a favorite of a lot of people. I wouldn't necessarily say it is their favorite map, but a lot of people do enjoy this map. I would say that I enjoy it as well. We do see a lot of longer games, but there is also the opportunity for short aggression games here as well. But given the fact that it is just a 2-player map and each player has basically an entire half of the map that they can take as their own, it has that opportunity for the longer reaching games. We can see Socke moving out right now with the scout. He's going to be making his way on through into Happy's base. Still too early to actually figure out what either player is doing. We can see both players dropping their refinery and their assimilator pretty much at a standard time. I guess we can just go ahead and follow this probe around and see precisely where he goes. We can see right now SCV Scout actually checking the corner, wants to look for a proxy pylon, possible proxy pylon and gateway. Can be a little dangerous. You can see he also skirted along the edge of his base there as well. So here we go, Pro moving right on into the main here of Happy. He's going to see pretty standard stuff. He sees that refinery just finished. He sees that that barrack is just about finished there. And taking a look over here for the SCV of Happy, going to be moving straight on into the main base of Socke. And he's going to see, well, standard stuff as well. We can see that Cybernex core. There it is. And yeah, there you have it. We want to keep an eye on the gas timings for either player. The second gas for Socke and the second refinery here for Happy. If either player gets one of those, and we also want to see when, where, and how. And these are the kind of things that players look for when they scout. So we can see Socke coming out with the second assimilator right now. This is going to tell us a few things. Probably not going for a quick expansion. Also, obviously not going to be going for something like a 4-gate, 1-gas, really early, strong, aggressive Zealot and Stalker push. So seeing this second assimilator tells him, hey, this is pretty standard, going to be teching up. Might see like a 3-gate robo or something like this. And these are the kind of things that are likely going through Happy's mind right now. Let's take a look inside of Happy's base. We can see that factory is up. There is that second refinery. I don't think we're going to expect something like Cloak Banshees because the second refinery was a little bit too late to actually accomplish that very effectively, although he is teching up, so I may be wrong because you can see coming out with this bunker, this tells us that he wants to defend himself early game. This is something that I actually see Happy do a lot. He likes to go for things like early game Hellions to scout and then tech up in one way or another, and he's got all sorts of different options, and actually Cloak Banshees against Protoss can work quite well. Even just normal Banshees without Cloak are going to work pretty well as well. Can see we do have the probe scout moving on around. Looks like it did take a few shots there from that marine. 3 marines in play, and those of course going straight inside of the bunker, and there is that starport. So actually we may very well be seeing those Cloak Banshees. It just seems like he's not going to have enough SP and actually pull it off right away. It looks like he's going to be a little bit below in getting that Banshee and that Cloak instantaneously, but we'll see what he does. Stalker was moving out for Socke, but Socke's going to be forced to push. Have I been calling him Socke this whole game? God, I hope not. I thought I corrected my my habit there of calling him Socke. Hopefully I've been calling him Socke. But anyways, we have the one probe here scouting the Zelnaga tower. Also that Stalker moving on up, and the Sentry, that early game defense unit, so very effective. Those force fields can pretty much save you from any early aggression from a Terran player. And look, Happy coming down with a second bunker, and it is in fact going to be Banshees. Now, as you're going to see, he can't get those Cloak Banshees right away. He got that Cloak research, and the Banshee's going to be a little bit off. So had he got that refinery just a tad bit sooner than he did, he would have actually been able to get those both at the same time. Also going to be moving up this factory for some. So this is going to defend him against a 4-gate. Even like a 3-gate Stalker heavy push it would defend him against. But actually, as you can see over here, Socke's going to be opening up with these Phoenixes, and this is a very scary proposition for Happy because even with that Cloak on the board, he obviously, there's only so much energy in those Banshees, and that Cloak does not last forever. The fact that there are Phoenixes in play, the fact that there are Phoenixes in play pretty much means that those Cloak Banshees are going to be not nearly as effective. Now, the other big thing, too, is that Socke has a really good opportunity to actually scout out these Cloak Banshees before they move out and do any damage at all. And actually, we just need to see a switch and a barracks going down in that tech lab. So just going with the 1 Cloak Banshee. Did he cancel that? I think he might have canceled it. I think he canceled everything. Let me take a look there. Wow, he did. He did, in fact, cancel that, so there was no Cloak Banshee at all. Didn't even come into play. He saw the fact that Phoenixes were on the board and basically being churned out with that scan. Looks like he did drop a scan right in Socke's base, and he instantly canceled that Cloak Banshee and switched it up. You can see right now coming out with some additional barracks right now. He wants to be able to pump up some Marines just to deal with his Phoenix pressure. He's already had a Phoenix harass in this series, and it's something that he obviously didn't like that much. Even though he won the game, Phoenix harass can be frustrating nonetheless. So coming out with these additional barracks, gonna let him deal with this. We can also see he's coming out with a medevac right now as well. Gonna allow him to try to drop, and then also, of course, healing up those units when they do get lifted off by those graviton beams. Loving that turret placement there, and we can also see that expansion coming out for Happy. So Happy fully switching up right on the fly as soon as he dropped that scan and saw the fact that that Stargate was in play. He just got rid of the Banshees because of the reason I mentioned. You know, with those Phoenixes in play, even with Cloak, energy isn't infinite, and it just wouldn't really be that effective. You would lose those Banshees pretty much guaranteed if you sent them out away from your base. So we can see Expo is up right now for Socke. Also got a few units sitting out front, going pretty sentry heavy for that early game defense. May even decide to try to push out for a little bit of aggression. I mean, he has gotten a full scout. With this is one of the other big things with the Phoenixes. You can just move in, take some buildings off, take some workers out, and even grab a Marine or two. But the other big thing too is looking at that vision there. He has a full scout of everything. He knew exactly what Happy was doing. Factory moving out to the front over here, and here we go. Expo's going to get transferred down. Just going to be going bio heavy right now. Wouldn't be too surprised if he just keeps up this medevac production. Also, maybe a Viking or two could do well to help shoo away those Phoenixes, plus those Marines. It can be very, very effective. Phoenix is actually target firing down the, trying to get rid of that medevac, but taking that fire from those Marines, we're forced to push back. But again, you can see here, Socke is fully comfortable with just moving his stuff around nonstop and doing what he can to get some scouting information. Does, of course, just want to make sure he stays away from those Marines, but as long as he stays away from those, he's having no problem. Stim going down very, very close to taking them out, losing almost all the shields there on that one. And we do have this one guy with very low health. He needs to stay away from that turret as well. Now's the opportunity to actually move away, but no, Stim Marines coming back here, and those Phoenixes just loving this little area, this open space behind the two bases, taking full advantage of it, if you will. Let's take a look inside of his base. Looks like he's just going to be continuing up this bio-heavy army composition. Let's take a look over here for Socke, see what he's got going on. We do have that robotic spade just coming into play, so Colossus going to be coming on the board sometime soon. Also Forge right here, and that's Forge right here. Good job. Forge warping in right now, and that's going to, of course, allow him to get those upgrades. Going to be working pretty consistently here on trying to saturate these bases as well. I want to make sure he can get full saturation. A little bit oversaturated here at the main. Would definitely actually be pretty wise of him to transfer over a little bit of those. Usually what you do, usually pro players just box over and take a quick count of the probes or whatever the workers are of each base, and then just make sure they're as pretty much even as possible. So yes, looking again pretty bio heavy. We are seeing that reactor come down right now. There is already one on this starport here, another one coming down for the double Marines. Supply block momentarily for Happy. That's not the greatest. We do also have a bunch of barracks coming into play here as well. So definitely gonna just be sticking with this bio heavy. Very effective, and it's just a pretty good composition against any Protoss opponents. Would like to see him maybe even come out with some ghosts like we did see last game. Ghost going to be very effective, of course, against that gateway heavy army from his opponent here. We can see mostly gateway units. He is throwing some Colossus into the mix as well, and actually going to be seeing a little bit of aggression. If nothing else, though, he may just be trying to take the middle here, just try to maintain a little bit of map control, and loving the constant scouting here of Socke. He's just sending, you can see he was sending his Phoenixes every which way across the map, just to see where his opponent was, trying to see if there was any drops or anything like that. Moving straight on into the main base here, and going to be trying to do some harassment, if nothing else, but trying to get that scouting. Also trying to pick off one, and wow, man, just does pick it off. A graviton beam going down the second one. Marine's going to be forcing back those Phoenixes, though. Phoenixes do, of course, want to head on out. At the same time, we are seeing a push, some aggression here from Socke at the front door. Going to be knocking down here any units that try to come into play, but look at that. Nice force fields going down the ramp. Wonderful force fields there as well. Loving that placement there from Socke, using the Phoenixes to take out those Vikings, and we did see a little bit of an engagement with Happy's SCVs, but he has since pushed those back. Socke looks like he's going to be pulling back for the time being. Maybe try to re-rally up some of his forces, get a larger contingent of units to deal with what he's going to be up against. We do have that Colossus making its way across the board. Another Colossus coming as well. And here we go. Level 1 upgrade for the ground weapons is already up. And we're also getting that level 1 upgrade for the armor. That's coming on through here as well. And I have a Twilight Council coming in. So you're going to be seeing either Blink Stalkers or Charged Zealots, either or. He is more Stalker heavy right now. So Blink Stalkers would seem like the logical thing to do with his unit composition currently. Again, the Phoenix is just going all over the place, getting all of that scouting and picking off whatever they can. They're having a hard time. We're actually working into that mineral line, though, the resource line, because of the fact that we do have some nice turret placement here for Happy. He does have one at his expo as well. Even though that's going to slightly inhibit the mining, it is worth it for the added security that you do get. We can see another expo coming up for Happy, and it actually looks like, yes, in fact, Socke has expanded to the middle here. So both players looking to get their third. Obviously, Socke would be at the advantage in this particular situation because his third would be at a high yield. The other thing, though, is that with his third at the high yield, it's much more vulnerable to enemy attacks. So that is something that he has to consider. A few key points of engagement right here, for example. If Socke can get Happy to engage right here, it is fantastic because of force fields. The same could be said for over here as well. So as long as Socke sees it coming, and if he can cut off Happy before he pushes into the high yield, he's actually going to be doing pretty okay. We are seeing this Colossus move on down. Has he actually scouted that base anytime recently? I know he has scouted. I don't know if he saw it recently. I'm not sure if he knows the fact that there is that high. No, he doesn't know that there's an expansion building, but I'm sure he's going to be seeing it. And there we go, actually moving down with the Zealot. So he's going to see that as soon as that moves over. And unless actually Happy decides to try to go for the high yield himself. Can see pushing out with these units right now, keeping up that production, continuously moving that factory ever so closely to the middle. Lots of Vikings in play. That's going to help him deal quite a bit with these Phoenixes as well as those Colossus, of course. That is the main reason for getting them, to deal with Colossus, to try to protect your bio army. And taking a look in the main base here, just pumping out those double medevacs. Unbelievable. Very Marauder heavy build as well. We can see a lot of tech labs there. And there we go. Stalkers moving forward. They do, of course, have Blink. That Blink was researched from that Twilight Council that we took a look at earlier. And it looks like Happy is, in fact, going to be trying to get this high yield himself. So both players sitting in the middle of the high yield. This is basically just going to be a matter of time until there's a big engagement, because both players, it's a very tentative situation with both players are trying to keep the high yield. Obviously, you want to try to push up against your opponent and try to knock out their high yield and maintain yours as well. Happy eking forward just a little bit. Blink Stalkers getting dangerously close there to those Vikings. Vikings do need to be careful to not get taken out by those Blink Stalkers, because of course their primary focus is to try to deal with these Colossus. Continuous reinforcements. We are seeing some ghosts come out of there. Any in play yet? Yes, there's one ghost in play right now. So depending on the landing of that EMP, that is likely to have a large effect during the inevitable battle that does eventually come. I suppose inevitable and eventually is kind of redundant. A nice Viking sniping there, dropping two of those Phoenixes. Very, very nice. Very nice insight there from Happy. Mentioned pushing at the right time, but here we go. Here comes the push right now. Colossus Guardian Shield's going down. Needs to be careful. Stim pack coming up. Vikings moving forward. So many Vikings should be dropping down these Colossus very quickly. They're actually going to stay within the Stalker fire just to drop down the Colossus. We are seeing that Bio Army do what it can, but it's very outmatched right now. Needs to be careful. Socke has 98 army supplies opposed to the 75 of Happy. Socke has quite a bit over here, and even though he was losing a lot of Colossus there whenever he tried to poke them forward because of that mass amount of Vikings, and actually this one almost got taken out but just narrowly made it with its life. The actual ground army of Happy is very lackluster in comparison to what Socke has, so Happy's definitely going to need to churn out some units before this next engagement, or else he could be in a bit of trouble. Taking one more look there, we can see 87 army supply as opposed to the 120, so Socke sitting in a very good position right now, and actually Happy is looking to engage again. He does need to be careful. He does have quite a lackluster army in comparison to what Socke has, so he doesn't want to engage unnecessarily, just actually poking forward, dropping down that pylon, and then leaving the Marine at the Xel'Naga. Happy currently in control. Both those Xel'Nagas just momentarily pulling off of that when he saw that Colossus pushing forward, but he does have vision of this side, so if a push comes from over there, he's going to be aware. He just needs to be concerned about this dark area over here once an eventual push does come. And there we go, Socke grabbing that Xel'Naga at the same time trying to take this expo over here and actually moving his guys in between to try to protect it there as well. And there's the EMP dropping a lot of that Stalker shield. And are we going to see another EMP? No, this one's a little bit too low in health, just trying to pick and prod at the units, but nice force fields going down. And then he's going to turn around to engage Vikings going to town on those Colossus. Does he have enough? It looks like he does, but the ground army is so very low for Happy. As I mentioned earlier, does he have enough? Marauders are going to be very effective against this gateway heavy army, and the Vikings have all but dropped. Blink Stalkers moving forward, going to be mopping up what bio is left here. And Happy, this is not a planetary fortress, and that would have helped him actually quite a bit. That orbital command's not going to help him whatsoever. There's not a lot of actual attacking units left, and there is the GG from Happy. So there you go, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed this game. This was the final game in the series. Looks like Socke did manage to take it away. Last game was completely intense. This game was pretty awesome here as well. Remember, if you do like the content, be sure to subscribe to the channel. We do have Diablo 3 as well as StarCraft 2 commentary and videos. And as always, guys, keep watching and keep owning.